Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check this headline out. Saudi Arabia joining BRICS coalition? Oh, we're going to get into that. What's that mean for the petrodollar? That's right, the U.S. dollar, ladies and gentlemen. 5 central banks sign an agreement, and we got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for exclusive content. We're over $900 billion for the crypto market cap. A lot of money missing from this space. Bitcoin right now, 19,500 plus. Ethereum, 1,300 plus. XRP is number 6 spot. I've got my favorite list up here right now, but that's where we're at this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's remind you of this. Our sponsor, Link2, and I am a customer too, has the best private equity in this space that you can find, ladies and gentlemen, and so many other great products. Do not mess around. As you can see, it doesn't last long, and keep your eyes peeled for something to come back onto the board, by the way. Look, Uphold, Ripple, you guys know it. Link2 itself, they're all great companies. If you're an accredited investor, you can participate too. And if you're not, be prepared, because Link2 is always working to democratize finance for all of us. And I tell you, I'm so glad that they're working on it. Keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen. Check that link out. Macau's Executive Council proposed a bill that would have the intention to accept CBDC as legal tender. Now, just so you understand, Macau is really over in the Asian region, and they're leaning on China for the technology and learn from what they've done. Now, whether they move in the same direction to really control the money the way China's yuan is another matter. But that's what they're pushing for. Things are moving quickly, ladies and gentlemen, even though it doesn't feel like it when you look at price. China, the Chinese yuan, transactions surpassed $14 billion. I think we all understand that, you know, the government in China is not who we want leading this digital revolution. I think I said that about as polite as you probably could. This is where we need to get Chris Giancarlo and the Digital Dollar Project. Chris, what can we do to help ensure we have digital dollar Bill of Rights providing privacy to citizens of the globe, not just the U.S.? Hopefully, that should make the U.S. digital dollar, when it is announced, and I believe it'll be the USD coin, more desirable than that by that standard alone. Listen to what this gentleman here, former People's Bank of China deputy governor, now IMF deputy managing director, listen to what he says about CBDCs. It is not comforting, I can tell you that.
The third way we think CBDC can improve financial inclusion is through what we call programmability. That is, CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program, to create smart contract, to allow targeted policy functions. For example, welfare payment. For example, consumption coupon. For example, food stamp. By programming CBDC, those money can be precisely targeted for what kind of people can own and what kind of use this money can be utilized.
My God, that's frightening. I got to be honest. You know, this is why I'm calling on Chris Giancarlo, who has mentioned many times that whatever it is, when I asked him, are you suggesting that we should adopt a value protocol and hold it to a constitutional standard, ensuring that we have privacy among the citizens that use it, U.S. or otherwise? And he told me it was worth considering. This gentleman here just talked about like what you can buy, what you can't, issuing this to you, knowing that we're going to be able to dictate to you what you do with it. It frightens the hell out of me.
For example, for food. So this potential programmability can help government agencies to precisely target their support to those people who need support. So that way can also improve financial inclusion.
And now he turns it around to where, oh, but it's to help us. It's always for the children, right?
Of course, I want to end with a caveat, because CBDC is not a panacea. CBDC cannot solve every challenge in financial inclusion. There are some aspects of financial inclusion is not related to technology. For example, financial literacy, digital literacy. So CBDC has to work with other policies together to try to improve financial inclusion. I stop here.
Yeah, well, thank God you did. I wish you had stopped a lot sooner, because the first half of his comment had nothing to do with financial inclusion. It had everything to do with financial surveillance and control, right? And that should worry the hell out of all of us. But listen, very quickly here, there is a moral dilemma to this digital revolution. We've talked about the pros and cons of this. We're going to get into that in just a moment here again. But I want to try to really see if we can clear up ISO 20022 and what it may mean or may not mean for digital assets. Okay, very quickly here, and there's new people joining the channel every day, right? ISO 20022 is a messaging language in the legacy payment world. There are many ISO different messaging standards. 20022 is going to be adopted in a standardization across all of these customers, partners of SWIFT, and anybody tied into the payment system is moving to this ISO 20022 because it will allow them, because everything that gets moved as a message or payment has a code to go along with it. So as I understand it, the ISO standardization 20022 movement really moves us into a place where they can give new codes or recode old things in a manner that they're not duplicative or confusion created because of the coding itself, right? So bringing in new digital assets and giving them a code in this new standardization messaging language, it opens the door for that. Going live with ISO 20022, which starts November of this year, the adoption plan is going to start rolling out. They expect that to happen over 2 years, and they want to be really in full adoption by November 25, excuse me. Now, that 2-year window is really bringing that standardization to the messaging financial payment language world. That's what we're talking about, right? That messaging standardization. It also brings in the coding of these new digital assets, albeit if it's a CBDC or a stable coin that gets approved to be used, or if it's a Bitcoin or Ethereum or a XRP, it all should get its own code, right? Its own number or whatever to go along with it in this ISO 2022. Now, does that mean that when this November timeframe hits that they're going to instantly start using digital assets? It does not. And I've been very clear about that on this channel, and I want to clear the way there. But that's why you hear people say ISO tokens, is because they believe there are certain tokens, as I do, that will be leaned on as the standardization of this payment language for financial institutions goes forward, and eventually to streamline the system even further for efficiency, scalability, the velocity of money, eliminate pre-funding of accounts and things. That's where I believe there's a window of an opportunity for assets like XRP and others. So I hope that helps bring some clarity there for that. Now, here's something here that we want to pay very, very close attention to. It's Nathan Price. He strikes again. Shout out to you, Nathan. ASEAN 5 central banks will sign an agreement on payment connectivity in November of this year, next month, in a few weeks. Cross-border payments, ladies and gentlemen. What's the alternative financing instruments? Is it Ripple or Stellar? Listen, we're speculating here, and you better know that. That's what we do here. That's why we're here. We are speculators up in these hills, these digital hills. And international financial architecture here, the G20 welcomed the Financial Stability Board's assessment on the supervision and regulation of global stablecoin arrangement. This is very important now. We want to pay very close attention to what comes of all of this. G20, welcome to the continued discussion on interlinking payment systems and on options for access to an interoperability of CBDCs for cross-border payments as a showcase of regional implementation of the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments roadmap. ASEAN 5 central banks will sign a general agreement on payment connectivity among ASEAN 5 central banks at the sidelines of G20 Leaders Summit in November 2022. And then he shows right here what we've looked at before, where it shows Ripple, Finality, Swift, and CLS, and it shows all the different low-cost instant settlement transparency. It gives you all of these readouts, right? Instant settlement right here, it's Finality and Ripple. You can see Swift doesn't have it. So you could actually see a complement where Swift could say, you know what, we'll use the network that Ripple's got for instant settlement, right? You could see that happen. I certainly could. And we know MC Bridge platform from James Wallace that the XRP ledger and the XRP, which is a complement to all the money of the world, CBDC, stablecoins, and other digitized, tokenized things of value. We know from James Wallace that the XRP ledger is one of the things that's being tested in the MCBDC, the multiple CBDC bridge. So that is exciting too. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Now, let's take a look at this. Shout out to Nathan again here. Leah Halprin, Bitcoin Maxi here, says people love to promote XRP as the bridge currency for CBDCs like it's a good thing. Well, listen. XRP is meant to be a complement to the world's money instead of a threat to the world's money like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is this is exactly where I want to be with XRP, as working as a complement within the system and not threatening the system, because Bitcoin, as Bitcoin maxis know, chant and scream anti-bank, anti-establishment, all the while they celebrate institutions buying Bitcoin and taking a huge position in it. But watch out, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe someday they will pull their massive positions on it and wreck it. And what will you do with your digital marbles then? Here's something we really want to know about right here. Saudi Arabia is expressing a desire to join BRICS family. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It's a coalition, and there are more countries joining all the time. As you can see, Saudi Arabia is now on the menu. This is very, very interesting. Now, watch this 6-minute video. I'm not going to play it for you. I don't want you to fall asleep, but I will say they have many MOUs, right? So this is really, really important to understand. They have these contracts of understanding that they're working with each other here. $15 billion invested in each other in the idea of Saudi Arabia joining the BRICS family. The problem with this is, ladies and gentlemen, is the strength, or what's left of our dollar, comes from the petrodollar arrangement. Henry Kissinger, after we came off the gold standard back when Nixon was president. And the petrodollar is really where we get our power. The agreement that Saudi Arabia and everybody there would trade oil in US dollars. What happens if Saudi Arabia joins BRICS? I have a feeling the petrodollar may go away if that happens. Then we have here from, not financial advice, the moral dilemma of all of this technology. Understanding where we are, I think inside this 2 minutes, you're going to hear him capture what has probably crossed all of our minds at some point, at some time or another. I think about this often, but I also came to the same conclusion at the end. Take a listen here.
One of the main themes of my channel is identifying future technologies needed to achieve elite agendas whose creators are highly likely to bring their visions into reality due to their unfathomable amount of wealth, power, and influence. So when groups like the UN or World Economic Forum host unpromoted conferences or publish quiet PDFs laying out their visions for the future, I listen intently because I can only assume they will eventually come to fruition. This does present a moral dilemma, though, one that keeps me up at night. Is it wrong to invest in technologies we assume are needed to bring on a new world order vision we might not agree with? Is it betrayal of our fellow man to become aware of what might seem like an agenda to digitally enslave humanity and simply sit on the sidelines investing in the technology needed to accomplish it? I have no idea. But as an investor and a realist, I try not to inject my personal feelings into deciding what investments have the best chance for success, because I realize how insignificant my feelings are in the grand scheme of things. In my opinion, there's this massive misconception from millions of people that if they invest their minuscule amount of money into these future technologies, they are aiding who they deem the bad guys. Or this idea that the elite's plans wouldn't happen if they instead personally invested their tiny bit of money elsewhere. It's thoughts like these that will cause a significant chunk of humanity to miss the most inevitable investment opportunities of our time. Investing isn't a game of figuring out what you like and dislike, and if you think it is, you may have an overinflated sense of self in this game. It's figuring out where the world is headed, and that starts with learning who has enough money, influence, and power to call the shots and actually make things happen. Taking a stand in the form of not investing in certain technologies because you dislike the idea of digital IDs, smart cities, CBDCs, and social credit scores, ironically, is only enriching the powers that be and only diminishing your chance for financial freedom in this inescapable future world.
And I think he just nailed it there, at least for me. And that's why I wanted to share this. Shout out to Not Financial Advice Crypto there. This is something that I don't wrestle with as much these days because I'm looking for where the world is going and how I can better my family for it. And I believe he captioned it right there. I mean, I've had that conversation with myself 1,000 times if I've had it once, but I've ultimately come to the place where I feel like I have to recognize, as he said, there's no over sense of inflated value of who I am as an individual here. I'm not stopping what's happening here. So I want to make money off of it, right? And then I want to be able to get my time back with my family. And hopefully the plan is to create generational wealth going forward for my family as well. This is where we are on this day. I hope in some way we've been able to help share some information to you and certainly provide you with things that we want to pay very close attention to as the windows close and get ultimately closer to the end of this SEC versus Ripple case. What will it do to make XRP go forward? I am excited to find out. Before I get out of here, I want to show you this Ledger, baby. It's right here. If you haven't gotten one, click the link underneath it here. There's amazing deals all the time. If you just click the link underneath, not your keys, not your crypto, and they have their own platform. You can download the mobile app, Ledger Live, buy crypto directly to your phone in your cold storage wallet. How about that for staying safe, ladies and gentlemen? I'll catch all of you on the next one. Not financial advice, just my digital perspectives.